Hi, my name is Shannon. This is my YouTube channel. Today I wanted to talk about how I met Will and fell in love with him. There's always a distraction. But there's kind of some backstory that's got to come up first before I get into the Will story. So let's start there. Thanks, honey. How many do you want to? What are you doing to your phone? Anyway, when I was 27, I was still living at my parents' house. Long story short, I just had a crappy job. I was a waitress at a restaurant, made so-so tips, was comfortable there, didn't want to move on. So my parents' remedy to that was to charge me rent and just basically let me live my life. And I started getting antsy, like, I'm almost 30. I don't have a husband yet. My sister, my younger sister, is already married, already has kids. So I signed up for an online dating site called Love at AOL. And this is in the late 90s. So it was the early age of the internet. Innocent, kind of. I went through a series of blind dates through that website. Just a combination of really socially awkward men who just didn't have any way to meet women other than that way, which was probably what category I fell into, even though I wasn't weird like most of them were, I think. Or just really predatory type men who just want to get laid and then move on and never talk to you again. So after a few dates, I met the person who would eventually become my husband. He was a lot like my dad, very alpha male. And at first, I thought I was in love. Moved in with him. Lived on the north side of Chicago for about 4 or 5 years before I just couldn't take it anymore. Got tired of trying to figure out where to park. Got tired of just constant people all the time. So I convinced him to move. And we moved to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And there was 2 reasons behind that. Well, 3, because I wanted to get somewhere that was semi-rural at least. He had family on his father's side that lived in the area up there that he really loved. He loved his father's side, his family. We went up there all the time for little mini vacations. It's kind of a touristy area that draws in people from Illinois. Big lake, and just lots of touristy type attractions. But yeah, he had family up there, and the other reason was I just wanted some nature. I fell in love with the touristy atmosphere of it. And it was cheap in terms of rent and things like that. At first, I kept my job, which was still in Chicago, and I took a train down there every morning. So that sucked up my entire day. But after we moved, I mean, there were problems before we moved that I'm not going to bother getting into. Maybe that's another video someday. But after we moved to Wisconsin, it basically broke him, my ex-husband. He had his own share of mental problems, and being in such an isolated environment, he just couldn't handle it. He was away from all his friends. He was a very social person compared to me. And he can't hold a job because of his mental problems. So he would keep one for a couple weeks, couple months, and either quit or get fired. So our finances started to get really strained, and which made him even worse mentally, to the point where he just started getting abusive, emotionally mostly, a little bit physically. And I'm trying to hold it all together. So I'm working full-time, going to school full-time, at one point working 2 jobs. And I didn't start falling out of love with him until we went through a lot of turmoil, roughly 5 or 6 years living in Wisconsin. And finally I couldn't take it anymore, and I just left. And it took me so long to leave because he couldn't hold down a job. There was no way he could pay his rent or pay the bills. He just had no fight left in him at all. And I felt sorry for him. I didn't want to leave him in that state, but it dragged on for so long. And just the amount of mental abuse that I was going through on a daily basis, despite being the only one who's trying to hold things together. He thought he was basically my God, and he's the only reason why I got anywhere in life. Eggs. Let me get this. Anyhow, that was roughly 2009 when I finally just said, screw this, I'm out. And at the time, I had just freshly started working for a new company. I stopped working in Chicago. The commute just became too much. And I found a job at a factory that was like roughly 20 minutes from our house. And it was just a low-level, entry-level type of job where you do inventory management, essentially, just to sum it up. And I worked in that role for about 6-ish months before my supervisor at the time came up to me and asked me if I wanted a promotion. Because during that 6-month period that I was there, they had gone through 2 supervisors on my shift, second shift. And out of the people that were left, she just didn't want any of them to get promoted. And even though they barely knew me, they knew I was quiet. I kept to myself. I didn't cause drama. And I did my work, and I did it well. So, got promoted. Was a shift supervisor for the department I worked in. And roughly 6 months after that, they hired Will. So I was a brand new supervisor in an industry that I had never worked in before. And 6 months in, one of the employees that I really relied on to keep me from screwing up, because he had worked there for a few years, he was like my work best friend. He decided that he didn't want to work on second shift anymore. And Will was a brand new hire. He had been on first shift for maybe 2 weeks. And my supervisor, my boss of the department head, she talked him into working on my shift. So then the person that I was pissed off about leaving could leave. And it really panicked me. I was pissed off. And I thought I was doomed. See what I mean about no hat? I mean, you almost don't even need a jacket today.
Yeah.
Here, let me loop her around my wrist. All right. That's cool. Did you know, the guy I live with, Will, that we have been together for 15 years
Really?
in a few days?
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I used to be his boss.
Gosh.
When he first started at my job, I thought he was a weirdo.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he is kind of weird looking. He is.
Well, yeah, he's weird looking, but he's also a weird person.
Yeah.
And he used to wear weird hats to work. And he would do his hair in weird hairstyles to make everyone laugh.
Oh, wow.
And then everyone thought he was odd. But then
They liked him anyway.
Then they turned out that he was a very kind person.
Yeah, he's very nice. I like him.
And he learns things like super quick.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Which way you want to go? That way?
That way.
Come on, girls. Let's watch out for cars. Looks like we should be all right.
Yeah, this one's okay.
I feel kind of sweaty. So I picked up a small box of cheap glass. There's like a bunch of little panels with different colors and textures, thanks to someone who sent me a super thanks a few days ago. So I just wanted to kind of show that off while I tell some more of my Will tale. And thank you again to that person. I'll put your name up there just so you can get some recognition. So, when Will's first started at my job, I was his boss, and I was kind of pissed off. I didn't want a new guy on my shift. I was comfortable with the team I had. We were all comfortable with the way that we did things, and I had just gotten a new technician. Basically the maintenance person was brand new there, and he was fumbling, didn't know what he was doing. Whenever a machine went down, it would take him a long time to figure out how to get things back up and running again. So it was really starting to make me, I felt in my brain, I thought I was looking bad because, our production, we weren't getting as much done, And then they take away my best operator, the one who got the most work done every night, the person that I would bounce ideas off of, or the person that I would go to if I had a question. Suddenly now they're going to first shift. And when Will first started, he didn't really gel with the crew very well. He was just so odd to everyone. He is an odd person. He's very eccentric, and that's what I love about him. One of the very many things about him that I love. He has just a very oddball sense of humor, and he's not afraid to look weird in front of other people. And it was definitely something that conflicted with us when we first started dating, because I am so shy and he is completely the opposite out in public. So anyway, over the course of time, he picked up the machinery there so quickly that it impressed me. It made me notice him right off the bat, and we became friends. And he started becoming my new go-to person that I would go and ask questions about. And then he became my new tech person eventually that I would go to if I had a machine that went down. He was so fast at figuring things out that he became my right-hand man basically at work. And eventually he lost his ride to work and needed someone to carpool with, and we happened to live in the same small town, so I offered to give him a ride back and forth to work. The next one. And through that, we just conversations here and there on the way to and from work, mostly just small talk, nothing crazy, but we started to learn that we each liked the same stuff. We were both into the same kind of movies. We both love to read. We both love video games. And both love the same kind of books. And, and the only really major difference between us is that I'm 10 years older than he is. But he's kind of an old soul. I'm from Gen X, and he's considered kind of like the older millennial. But we still like the same kind of media. We grew up watching the same stuff, playing the same games. We have a lot of crossover. The only thing we don't really cross over a lot on is music. We both have very wildly different music tastes, and we only cross over on a couple little things. But anyway, eventually he got a friend of his that he used to work with at a different job. He got him a job at my job. We started hiring. And because, they were best friends, I was his boss, he started getting rides with that guy. And I noticed after a couple of weeks or so of not giving Will a ride that I missed having him around. And I started thinking about him more and more. And then I realized one day, I think I got a crush on him. That's the last one. Okay, so gonna move on. So this is what the board looks like before it has any parts on it or anything on it. And then it's gonna go into this machine.
Yummy!
And it puts solder paste on there. You see the little holes? I wish it was actually doing it right now, but that's alright.
You wish it was actually doing it? Alright, there you go.
It's not doing it. Oh well, it's not doing it.
No.
Okay. Will says it'll do it now.
That's gotta wait for it to take the board in, like it is. There it goes.
Look at all that goopy, yummy solder lead. Yum. Yeah, there it goes. Alright. Then after it comes out of there, then, which you can't really see all that well, all the places where the parts go now have solder on them. But it's not yet, I guess what you would call cured. Wait, let me do this. Once it's done, you gotta hit transfer and it goes into the next machine. And in this machine, put glue on it. You see those nozzles there? They have like glue on there, and it goes on the machine and it puts little glue dots on there. So when it does that, it comes out like this. And you can see some red dots on there. That's the glue. So after it does that, you got to hit transfer again. And then it comes into this machine, which are hurrying up and trying to get going for me so my battery doesn't die. This is Will.
What's up? This one. Alright, hit repair if you wouldn't mind. Oh. Didn't take one of them. Didn't take this one.
Hey!
Good to go.
They're verifying the part right now, making sure that it's correct.
Alright.
Alright.
There goes an exit.
Okay, I'm going to put it inside. Who knows if you actually could see anything that's happening?
My board. Board complete. Here it comes. Yep.
Alright. So after it gets done in there, it goes into this one. And it's essentially doing the same thing, only with different parts, bigger parts.
Gotta do some background music.
Alright.
Dun 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 dun. Ah!
No, we can't stop now.
And we're out of the park.
Alright, so we're out of the part, so you don't get to see what it looks like when it comes out. But anyway, it comes out. It goes down this little conveyor. Boo, 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 boo. And then Kyle puts on some parts. Hi, Kyle. And then it goes down this long oven here.
Hey, imagine that. I don't have a spare room.
Oops, I'm right behind you. Hi, Boona.
Hi.
Then it comes out the oven right here, eventually. And it becomes this. Do you remember when I was your boss?
Oh, yeah. Dipping in the company ink. Yeah.
So tonight we're having leftover tofu tacos, which is basically the same thing as the breakfast tacos, only with this ground tofu that I make to imitate ground beef or ground taco meat. There it is. That's tofu. One of these days I'll actually film it. It always happens to fall on a day where I don't feel like filming for some reason. And this is also one of my lazy meals, so it coincides with me just being lazy on that day. So. After I found out I had a crush on Will, It was the first time I had a crush like that. That feeling, the butterflies, almost uncontrollable feeling for someone. Sorry, I lose my balance. And I kept it chill for a while. Just because, I didn't have the confidence. He's younger than me. I thought he was cute as hell. Like, any girl would want him. Like, why would he want anything to do with me? But one day I made a mistake. There was another person who was one of my underlings that I would vent to from time to time. I trusted her. We had worked together for a while. And I made the mistake of telling her that I thought I had a crush on Will. Needless to say, she went straight to him and told him. And lucky for me, he was very reciprocal. He liked it. He wanted me. He had a crush back. I just didn't know it. And the girl I told, she played it cool. She didn't let me know what she did. And we just very subtly flirted with each other for a long time, feeling each other out. Until eventually I asked him one day if he liked me. And he said, yeah. Will decided to go upstairs and take a nap. So I am going to play a little bit of the game that we usually play together and collect some stuff for him as a surprise for when he gets up. And continue my Will story. After we finally decided to start dating, we took things pretty slow. I mean, we didn't even have our first kiss with each other for like 2 months. I mean, that's how slow things were. We were very awkward and shy with each other. I think we both liked each other a lot and we didn't want to ruin it. And we both were living with friends at the time, so we decided once and for all to look for a place to rent, and we moved in together. And we've been inseparable ever since. And sometimes I wonder to myself, are we bad for each other because we love each other so much? You know what I mean? I mean, we like to do everything together, even get jobs together. So, he is essentially my best friend. Oh, somebody's coming for me. Where'd you go? But we have a lot of the same bad qualities. That's what I'm trying to get to. And it drags us down. But we have a lot of the same great qualities. And I think that if we can both figure it out and mature enough and get serious, that we could do some great shit. Will and I have always made a really good team. We work really well together. We both put importance on the same things. And we've never really argued. We're not mean to each other ever. We've never ever called each other names, at least not in an unteasing way. We're big on teasing each other, that's for sure. I mean, throughout the 15-ish years that we've been together, a lot of that time has been spent working at the same job. I mean, he'll get a job somewhere and he determine whether he likes it or not, and eventually I might end up there. It's just, for both of us, we like to work together, like I said, and just the convenience factor, only having one place to commute to. We always have the same hours. We just like to spend as much time as we can together. We enjoy each other's time. We both like to do the same things. So it can be a problem. And I worry that it will become a problem as I have to give more and more attention to my mother and less attention to him. I'm worried about how that's going to affect him. Yes. No screaming.
Don't do it, Jackie. Go crazy. Crazy.
She's looking crazy.
She's looking at weird stuff that isn't there.
I'm worried that he's going to get lonely, or that he's going to get jealous of all the attention that I have to give to my mom instead of him. I mean, it's been 15 years of just me and him against the world. And I like to make him feel good. I like to do things for him. I like to cook for him. I like to massage him. I like to spend time with him. We cuddle, things like that. And all that's going to end eventually. At least temporarily. I'm not sure how much he knows about what's going to go on about that. Anyway, I'm doing a story about basically how we first met and the tale of our falling in love. Just a very brief summary.
You mean how you tricked me into some sort of weird soul contract?
Yeah, that.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to find out what his limits are regarding this eventually, if there are limits. I mean, there are certain things she does that annoy us sometimes, but he's managed to keep his cool about it to this point, So I don't know if, it's not his mother, so. Anyway, I'm kind of at the end of my night. I'm going to continue soldering these until he wakes up from his nap and comes and gets me. And I probably won't be up too much later. Beyond that, I'll be going to bed or editing this video. But in the meantime, I just want to thank everyone who's hung in with me this far. I mean, I'm not sure what it is in me that you see that makes you want to come back. But whatever it is, I appreciate it. I do. You're the reason why I want to keep doing this. I mean, it's for me, but you are what helps keep me excited. And I know there's a lot of people who come here and watch who never leave a comment, and I hope you're doing well. I don't know. Awkward. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I want everybody to know that I might not say it all the time, but I I truly appreciate everybody who takes the time to watch my videos, especially if you're still here at the end part of my video, and the fact that you're willing to sit here and let me do that to you means a lot to me. As awkward as that came out. Anyway, I'm gonna, like I said, work on this, and I will see you in the next whenever I get inspired to make another video. Could be tomorrow, could be in 4 days, I don't know.